I think this sibling setup is much closer to my heart than Iqbal was. I have an older sister. Iqbal was the reverse. The sister was younger. I'm sure at some level, Iqbal was, and both Dhanak have something to do with my own relationships with my brother and sister. This to me was almost directly there. Of course, the material that we thought about was not, but like I mentioned earlier, I remember, the only thing I remember about growing up is that I fought. And I fought continually. I fought with my older sister less, but my brother and I just fought every day, all the time, for everything. I think it finally just stopped when, I started going to college and he started going to college. So then the fights were marginally more dignified.
They turned to sarcasm.
Exactly. Very cold. Exactly. So I think it's very, very deep rooted in that. And categorically, I can say that, I genuinely love my brother and sister. And if a relationship like that is forged from, fights, which is like the bedrock of a great relationship, then I had to put that on film.
No, but if I may just add to this a little bit, so not just a brother-sister relationship or whatever, but when Nagesh writes his material, since Hyderabad Blues, and I've been associated with him, I've worked with him since then, his women are very strong. So easily the sister could have been blind. Of course, in Iqbal, the cricketer, it didn't make sense if she was playing cricket. So, but if you see, even there, she was the older, the supporting, the figure who kind of led him, maneuvered him around places, did stuff. She was the caretaker. Even in this, Pari could have been blind. He could have been the older sister. It's an easy switch enough, right? It's about a brother-sister. It doesn't have to be the older person looking after. So his women characters are always strong. Ab Hyderabad Blues, Dekho, Sea Rock, Door. Door was, I should write a thesis on Door, forget anyone else. If you, even if you see Teen Diwarein, every one of them, the women stand for something. Hyderabad Blues to Bombay to Bangkok, whatever you see, the women have a voice. And I think that also drives the factor that, the women characters are much stronger in his film than just a relationship between two people or whatever. So, when he wrote Dhanak, I was like, we could switch because it was so Iqbal, it was so, and like the extension. And he was like, no, this is Pari and this is Chotu. So I'm like, yeah, of course, this is Pari and this is Chotu. So.
I started writing out of necessity. I wanted to make my own film, and this place that I went to, this acting class, encouraged a lot of writing. And when I was writing, people reacted positively to the written material. So I was like, oh, okay, maybe I can write. So I kept writing some more. And then it became very apparent. I'd actually come to India to assist someone and then start directing, which is the standard route everyone takes. But seeing what was happening on the India cinema front back in the mid to late 90s, I knew that I would not fit in there. So then I said, okay, let me write. So I started writing. And the thing with my writing is I know everyone so intimately that I never have to even step back, take a third person look and say, would that person say that, or would she behave in an environment like this? My process becomes very easy.
But sometimes in this note, not as you as writer-director, but it always is a case of, sometimes the case of grass is green on the other side. Because I've heard Nagesh lament and say, if I just could find a writer, I would, just concentrate on directing. Director friends who are not writers and said, dude, if I could just write, the process would be so much faster,
Like I said, the mandate I set for myself is that it was going to be a happy film. Okay? But it's a very fine line. How do I make it believable where the audience is not rolling their eyes saying, "Arey yaar, it's saccharine sweet and bloody annoying because everyone in the world is good and everyone is nice." So I keep the audience on edge too. And this is something, we've done 43 film festivals till now, as of last week, worldwide. and it's still going and going and going, clearly shows that the connect, the universal connect, is believable. That because they're kids, that even the truck driver looks pretty lethal, but he turns out actually to be a nice guy. The hippie who you think might be the guy who's doing the kidnapping is not. He's actually a sweet guy. So it's something that I push you to believe, I manipulate you, but I at the same time bring you back to the thing that, actually he's a nice guy. Now, obviously this is my own philosophy. The only bad person in the entire film is actually the religious guy. It's not even the guy who, ends up in the van.
Or the Mata. She was
Or the mother.
gender.
She's an actor. I mean, that's what these people are anyways. But, like I always tell people, beware the religious person. Every other human being is believable. If someone is using an entity who doesn't exist to justify their existence, then beware.
You can bleep out and write written material also. Please put. We have not heard this in today's India. I'm not sure what we can say, what we can't say.
So that element of risk I had to bring in. And also you asked a valid question. Kids don't know trauma till the trauma is truly spelled out to them. Yeah, they got kidnapped. But within the framework of what happens in the film, they're like, oh, वो बुरा आदमी था. वो बोलती है ना पहले भी, ये लोग नशे का दवा देते हैं ये वो. So you don't know what the impact of the नशे का दवा is till something horrible happened. They had nashe ka dawa, they conked out, and they woke up in a gypsy camp. So as far as their lives were concerned, there was no active trauma.
He's singing a song when she wakes
done
up.
to them. Exactly. And this champion though was oblivious. So again, it's what a writer intends. I could have taken you into dark spaces. I could have, but that was not the intent of the film. Especially with Dhanak, I'm glad you asked this. I could go on forever, which I won't. Is when I was writing it, at some point I had to just stop myself. I could have written another 10 characters. They could have had 6 more days to get to his birthday, right? And when I was writing Atmaram Khandelwal's thing, the funny thing was I didn't write it for Ninad. There's another guy called Howard Rosenmeyer who actually used to mimic Aamir.
He's made a life out of mimicking
Aamir Khan on that show that
comedies, something.
TV pe kuch tha, but he's always.
He's also a choreographer. He's a bald guy and
choreographer. He directs Howard. Yeah. So on Mode, Howard had actually directed some of the. He had directed that one number, the beginning of the film, Aaj Main Ho Gayi Jawan. So we got really pally. So when I was writing it, I actually was thinking of Howard because Howard does a lot of different characters, and the evolution of a conman to the villages, that's not young. So the conning of the picture was simply keeping in sync with the whole mythology of the superstar, the Indian superstar, which people will go to any lengths. If I genuinely gave a villager a picture of a Mata, would you not hold it and take a picture? You would, right? I mean, I'm just saying. Or a Mata or, a Bhagwan or whatever. And actors are just that. Right. So I was playing off of that also.
Trust him implicitly because as a director, I mean, it's 2 roles, 2 different people play, 2 different people trust their expertise that they bring to the table in those roles, right? So there are many times when Nagesh doesn't question you and I say, we have to go to first let's say, publication visit to Box Office India. And Nagesh is a very reticent, very private person. So he won't balk. He'll say, yeah, make me visit 1 publication a day, not 3. So where the expertise of that person lies in their fields. As a director, I can't tell you how, when you go back to Rockford, even for this, as with Rockford, we interviewed or auditioned hundreds of people.
More kids on Rockford.
More kids in Rockford, right?
Way more.
I can't tell you the number of kids that used to come in for auditions. I used to be sitting on most of the auditions. I didn't find one person who I thought would be cast in the film. I was like, no chance, what are we doing? And Nagesh would come out and say, I think we found our lead guy. I'm like, from that lot which I just saw, he's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, okay. And he'd give you a Rohan Naidu, a Rohan that, eventually went to play Rajesh Naidu. So those instinct of director are perfect. Yes, there are fights, there are things. I'm like, firstly, sometimes he'll kill children in the films that he writes. No, this child dies. I'm like, no, children can't die. So I don't want people to die. I don't want, yeah, everything should be happy. Why is she dying? Why is her finger being cut? Oh no, Nagesh, please no. Lakshmi, the differences we had up to the trailer, he put everything bad in the trailer, right? And like nobody will come to watch the movie. Same thing happened. People got so scared of the trailer only that nobody came for the picture. I'm like, it's not so bad. It's not so bad. Whatever's wrong is put in the trailer.
Actually, it scared away 90% of the men. Forget the women.
Because they were flinching at the trailer. I'm like, Nagesh, Nakko, you're supposed to make it bulana hai logon ko andar, then let them deal with what they see on the screen. So those kind of differences happen. Sometimes Nagesh he's a maniac when it comes to shooting. He's like, ye bhi uda denge, ye bhi kar lenge. And I'm thinking, dude, there are 150 other people who have to go with that pace. Sometimes it doesn't work like that, and so those kind of things happen. But creatively, not. He genuinely, on the script and on the direction, has the last word, as it should be. I do have the last word in terms of, how we will market, what will we do, when should the release date be. It's a very, very happy relationship in terms of working. So.
Yeah, and my version is not too different from hers.
The money's in the joint account, so that's why we are,
is the fact that when I finish a script, or sometimes even midway through a script, I only have one person read it. That's how. Simply because filmmaking is an extremely selfish, personal point of view. It's not a group vote, and I genuinely cannot fathom filmmakers who take everyone's input, because I'm not right when I'm writing that. It's my point of view. You're not right when you're giving me an opinion. It's your point of view, because in art there is no wrong or right. It's only a point of view. So I'm very, very wary of not showing my film to anyone, not showing my script to anyone. I don't want anyone's input. It's not arrogance. It's simply the fact that this is my vision. I'm going to stick with it. Having said that, everything I write, only she reads, because it's a very interesting thing that she has an extremely visceral reaction to a script. It's not a thought out, analyzed whatever. It's like, I liked it, it's extremely visceral. Yeah, later we can talk about characters and we can analyze it, but that comes at a much later stage. So only for that sort of value, I let her read it, and based on her reactions, sometimes I've even made changes. Now when it comes to everything else to do with a film, when it's made, it's entirely her. Entirely. Release, marketing, publicity, what the right approach is. I'll give my 2 cents on the creators, but I will very easily differ, including like Dhanak's first trailer. There were 2 or 3 things that I actually wanted chopped, and she said no, let's leave them in there, and we got the maximum responses to those 2 or 3 things. So I suck at I suck at these other things. So that's how the relationship functions. That there's no stepping on the turf. And the audience.
And
the audience.
The most important part is taking the audience.
Hell yeah. Absolutely, unequivocally is.
It's not just the release. It's from getting it made to getting the release. It's the same song in dance routine.
See, every time that I continue to work without stars, we are going to have trouble raising the money. We are going to have trouble releasing the film correctly. Eventually, all our films get a release. That's never been in question, but correctly becomes the question. Lakshmi eventually ended up with a really bad 80-screen release with all morning shows, right? So this battle, this awful thing will continue. I don't think it will change.
No, but you have different crowns that have been put on his head variously. I mean, the person who started the indie movement in India, I've heard saying, "Arey, Nagesh sir, he's the only star-proof director we have." Ye sab bolne ke baat hai. It's lovely to hear those titles, get those things, and allow them to, adorn your chest or your shoulder or whatever. But every time you set out to make a movie, even though if your last has been good or bad, they say you're as good as your last Friday. Luckily for me, that's not true with Nagesh. The last 4 have not been really something that will open out investor doors, but he still managed to get the next film made. His his bandwidth is so broad. Touch wood, touch wood, touch wood. Jaldi karo? No. So it's not. It's not about what The Last Friday was all about. But Hyderabad Blues was a game-changing film, right? Rockford was not easy to make. Rockford was something that was like, shit, what a cute film. Bollywood Calling was not easy to make. After Iqbal Dor was not easy to make. So, it's the same song and dance routine. Picture release हुई, अब चलो with a begging bowl to the next person. पैर पढ़ो नहीं बोले कपड़े झड़को दूसरे के पास जाओ. The same routine I've been doing for 20 years. Nagesh has, now of course, now I push him in front and say, Nagesh Kukunoor film, please give money. So that kind of.
So I'm begging as much now.
Yes, really, he's
just
joined the
being
game.
behind the scenes and looking cool. One of the strangest, loveliest highlights happened like 2 days ago when we got an email from the Tel Aviv Film Festival saying that they wanted to rescreen Dhanak this year. We already premiered it at Tel Aviv last year. I have never had that happen. Not in 2 consecutive years. A lot of times they'll do a retro on a director, so they'll bring films back. So, obviously it's like...
It was so well received that can we please have it this year also? Please take it.
Le jao. So, I would say categorically the best moment of my filmmaking career, and I get goosebumps when I say this, categorically the highlight of my film career, sitting in the audience there when they announced the Grand Prix at Berlin. See, in your heart that award is not tainted. It's come from a place where the award means something. This is Berlin. This is stuff that you dream of. You're sitting in the audience and you get the award. A filmmaker can't ask for a better highlight. I know in my head what are the awards that are genuine, what truly matter, what is not tainted. So if I'm on the receiving end of that award, I will be overwhelmed. I'll say a big thank you. That's what happened in Berlin.
Yeah, but you behave so cool.
That's okay. I don't like melodrama.
Yeah, there was no way. See, when Lakshmi was made, I thought, sorry, you didn't finish your answer.
Just, no. Please continue your train of thought, but I'll add this one thing. We're sitting in the audience in Berlin, right? And the way Berlin does it before they give the award is they actually talk about the film. But they'll talk about it in a very nondescript way. And they started describing Dhanak.
No, in German.
No, first German, then English. Then English. So they started describing Dhanak. And at one point it hit home that it was Dhanak. So I just short-circuited. I was like, no way, we freaking won. We won. I mean, I was sitting in the audience. So it was myself, Elahe, Tapas was there, the music director. So the 3 of us were there, and I looked. Elahe was just looking straight. I mean, she was also excited. She was looking straight. When I looked, Tapas, the idiot, who was a very close friend of mine, they had said, as we watch these kids take their journey across a country. So Tapas is saying, this is not a film because they don't go across the country, they go across Rajasthan.
Yeah, so he told me that.
So he's
correct, Celestial Camel. I'm also thinking another film only that one.
So I looked at him like, this is what I'm doing. So for 1 second, I took a step back saying, what is he and then when they announced, he went mad. He's like, sir. I'm like, I got that. I got that before. Boy. Then they walking on stage. Sir, I don't believe it. But you look country bole to main अरे बाकी के जो 90% description था was as we meet a whole host of colorful characters, blah blah blah. This relationship that breaks up, all this gorgeous jury statement.
He got country.
Just the country derailed it for him. That was my short circuit moment.